Hey guys, welcome back to the series System Design Charcha. Today we are talking about Zoom calls. You must have gone through this a lot. Nowadays most stand-ups happen or many stand-ups happen on Google Meet or Zoom calls. So we'll be talking about the tech behind this, how these videos are transferred across the globe in real time. And Keerti Purswani is of course with us. Keerti, how excited are you about the Zoom conference or Google conference meet?
Considering we are connected over Zoom, so we know how important it is, right?
Yes. In fact, Zoom does recordings also, so let me start noting those down one by one. This recording is thanks to Zoom, so let's note that down first. Recordings is something that it offers. Second thing is, we talked about stand-ups, so meetings or conferences, this is something which happens. Plus, Keerti has some super popular live classes. So, like 100 people is not enough. You need to end up having special Zoom licenses, pay them well, and they have webinars or large conferences. Trust me,
so
I know that this
interestingly,
costs.
there are options, right? That either you can basically unmute the audience and turn on their video also, or you can basically do in a webinar mode where only the instructor or the host is talking, the other people don't get to talk. So most people do it in webinar mode. I interestingly don't do it in webinar mode. Mine is like a normal meeting, but okay.
It's the same with me. I also use a normal meeting. Anyone can, you can actually hear people.
Yeah.
You can hear them talk, put their problems forward. But okay, we have these three points. We can have large conferences. We can have meetings. I mean, that's like, of course, a thing with large conferences. We have video recordings and something which is quite interesting.
Screen share is another thing.
Oh yeah, this is something we do a lot. In fact, this is again something that we are doing currently, screen share.
Yep.
Yeah. So multiple audio streams from a single person have to be sent across the globe in real time. Okay, so
correct.
Let's just take real time as a important factor. Okay. So with these requirements in mind, I think let's try to work through a simple problem. Let's say Gaurav is here or you are here, our dear viewer. I hope I don't sound like a psychopath when I'm saying our dear viewer, but yes, that's you and there's me here. And you want to connect through Zoom, okay, because you have paid for the subscription and now it's time. So how do we connect? How do we have a video conference with Zoom? We could send our video stream here and Zoom will say, okay, I accept your video.
So the interesting part in Zoom is basically the communication, right? Because that is the core of the problem that we have to solve. So again, there are two types of communication that we talked about. One is in the webinar mode. One is where both people get to talk and basically share their audio and video. So as Gaurav is drawing, so there is you and me. So it can be either you talking or you and me both talking. Let's assume for now that it is both you and me talking. Also to mention that we will be talking about both one-to-one, like only two people in a meeting, and group chats, basically when there are, say, more people. And I guess we can limit to, say, 100 people in a meeting. Gaurav, does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm just making this line pretty thick. Basically, you can send video. Awesome. So this is the basic idea. You send video in these black lines. So there's a me video and a you video, and the other person gets all participants' videos with them. So if I make it, actually let me just rename it A and B. Sorry. Now this is something that will be happening at a high level. There's a person A who wants to talk to B and B wants to talk to A. This is a conference. It's peer to peer. A sends their video through this black line. It goes to Zoom. When B wants A's video, it can ask Zoom, or Zoom can push this video to B, okay, their client device. The same thing happens with B. B sends their video to Zoom. and when A wants B's video, they can pull from Zoom, or Zoom can send it. Okay, a lot of things can be asked here, but there's a fundamental problem. Keerti, would you like to highlight the fundamental problem with this?
So yeah, the problem is that firstly there are, suppose 100 people connected, right? A group meeting. So now if there are so many people connected, now 100 people are sending the video, and now for those 100 people, let's assume that all of them have turned on their videos, and now those 100 videos have to be like sent to the other basically 99 people, right? So 100 to 100, you can think of it like that. So that's obviously a huge problem to solve, right? We are sending to our server, and then server is sending to basically different people. Right now what we are trying to do is we are trying to solve this whole problem ourselves. There are of course protocols which we will be discussing in detail after this, but as a layman, if we think about this, that how would we solve this problem if we are like 100 people sending to Zoom, and then Zoom has to send to 100 people? That is a lot of load on the server, right?
Yeah, if Zoom has to manage all of these video streams, like you said, 100 people, I'm just drawing 5 so that it's easy for us to understand, but 5, let's say, with different colors itself will tell you what the biggest issue with this kind of architecture is going to be. You see there are 5 different colors that are coming into Zoom: black, red, green, pink, and blue. Now B needs all 5 different colors in its client. Okay, one of the streams it's producing itself, so ignore that, but 4 different colors, so n-1 if there are n participants. A requires the same number of video streams. C, D, E. Zoom is responsible for not just accepting all these video streams, but also broadcasting all of it. So that is going to be an intense job.
And considering that we want minimum latency, we want it almost real time so that we can respond and basically have like a real time communication like I and Gaurav are having right now. So that is a bit tricky, right? Because there should be no lag versus like just comparing it out, like suppose there's a live cricket match, there we can have say 2-3 seconds of delay, right? So interestingly, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. So there used to be cases, right, where people used to take advantage of this, that because there's a delay in cricket matches, there used to be like a lot of betting and all that used to happen, and corruption used to happen. Yeah, there were a lot of cases for that, but you cannot afford that in Zoom. You need it real time. So yeah, how do we solve this problem?
Right. If you one of the ways that we can try to solve this problem is try to remove this bottleneck. It's hard to scale this. It's going to be going through a lot of load. Now A wants to talk to B, and they are going through Zoom. For what reason? They're going through Zoom because Zoom does authentication, Zoom does discovery. You don't know where B is. You just send it to Zoom. Zoom figures out where B is. You don't know whether this is really B. So for security, you go and ask Zoom, is this person really B? Yes. Yeah. Okay. I don't need to worry about it. And so also, you know, if your device collapses and you have to again come back up, then again you have to discover. So these are some of the problems that we have as a end user. And so we don't want to talk directly from A to B. We want to go through Zoom. Those are the problems.
But the interesting point over here is that all the problems that Gaurav talked about, right? All those problems can be solved the first time, like when A and B are talking to each other. But when they start talking, after that, do we like need to keep checking again and again? Because we have checked it once. Do we need to keep checking that again and again? No, right?
Yes and no. And I think Keerti has got the, you have hit the nail on the idea. There's A's video can be sent directly to B. Let's start dreaming now. And B's video is going directly to A. If this can happen, then our job is done, right? These two parties can talk to each other. Zoom didn't come in. It's awesome. How does this happen though? A doesn't know where B exists, and A doesn't know for sure that this is really B. It could be a bad party also, a malicious party. Okay. To avoid this, Keerti mentioned, if you talk to Zoom and Zoom says, yes, this is the address of B and this is the signature of B, then you can do both. You can discover where B exists. Maybe the address of B is an IP address and the signature of B is a doc with private key signed. or some way to just identify that this is really B. Okay, you can give a challenge also to B, and if B completes the challenge, then you say, oh yeah, it must be you. So this is the idea. Once you get this IP address, right? Once you get this, let's say 1.1.1.3, okay, you can start sending video to B. And when B wants to send video, it does the same thing. It says who are the participants of this call. It turns out that A is a participant of the call. You can get an entire array of IP addresses here and give me the signature of A, and then we start talking. Okay, what happens with the signature? You can tell A that, hey, are you really A? I heard that this is your IP address, but could you just confirm? And then A says, sure, here's a signed document. And then you check the sign and you say, yeah, this is true. The other thing you can do to speed this up is, instead of having a signature, just take a token. So call token, which is common for all the people in this call. If you see a Zoom call has a passcode, so if you use that number to sign a document, then the other person knows that you know the passcode, therefore you're authorized.
Right.
Yeah.
And interestingly, what Gaurav is essentially trying to do is somehow convert the client-server architecture to peer-to-peer architecture. Because now what we're trying to do is we're trying to make A and B peers so that they can communicate with themselves.
Yes, absolutely. The benefit of this is you don't have to talk to Zoom. You can send video across the internet backbone to each other. So Zoom doesn't have to manage your video streams. Zoom doesn't have to scale up its bandwidth. Nothing. Okay. And in fact, this is what is done. The protocol is called WebRTC.
It stands for Web Real-Time Communication, as the name suggests.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't know that. I just know that this was made by a guy in Google, or a few people in Google. Yeah.
All right.
I'm a big fan of the person who made this. Justin Uberetti is his name, and I
he doesn't know the full form of WebRTC.
Yeah, I don't know. But during COVID, right? It's such a lifesaver. Yeah, this is the thing which allowed us to work from home. It must have saved billions of dollars in productivity. So
yeah,
people should get a Nobel Prize for this, I think. But yeah, this is awesome. So you don't have to talk to the server. You are directly talking to each other, peer to peer. Okay.
Yes. One very interesting point, guys, that I think we all should discuss about, that WebRTC. So this is the application layer protocol, right? We should definitely understand it, how it works a bit, and what is the underlying transport layer protocol, which is very important over here. So the two major transport layer protocol are basically UDP and TCP, right? And if we talk about the major difference between them, TCP is more reliable and UDP is faster, right? It doesn't waste time in reliability and all. It just focuses that I'm going to send the data. It is okay, if we lose the data here and there a bit. So in very simple terms, on Zoom, you might see sometimes that I am basically stuck, or you might see some parts dropping, but it will still be real time, and it is not like you want to see each and every millisecond with the highest quality. So that is why UDP can be easily used, and that is what WebRTC uses. So the underlying protocol is UDP. So it is very important to understand UDP versus TCP to be able to understand these protocols.
Yeah, in fact, live streaming, very often you'll see, even when big companies are doing this, they use UDP because they know that if during a cricket match, if you miss the shot, it's okay. People don't care. They want to see what's next. They don't care about, 3 balls earlier something was happening, or in the football match, they don't care about what was happening 10 seconds earlier. They want to see what's happening right now. So if you want high recency and maybe not that big a guarantee of delivery, UDP is perfect.
Interestingly, just adding one point over here. So Zoom in reality actually uses WebRTC for smaller meetings, like for say 100 people. But when the meetings are huge, they basically use their own protocol, which is also peer-to-peer, and it is also on top of UDP. So it is similar to WebRTC, but they have made their own protocol. So for small meetings, they use WebRTC, but yes. And also, guys, this is not the only solution, right? Like Teams, Google Teams, which is a similar solution to Zoom, but they don't essentially always use WebRTC. They used to rely more on RTMP. I guess, Gaurav, we should also discuss RTMP.
Yes. So if we do a YouTube live, for example, when I do a YouTube live, I can see, I get a RTMP server link. So what that means is, let's say this is the RTMP server and this is like YouTube's RTMP server. Okay. Now, if we are doing a live stream here and there's a few hundred people, let's say 500 people who are viewing this live stream. If we try to use some sort of a peer-to-peer protocol where A is trying to talk to lots of people, then there is a problem. And the problem is A is now going to be responsible for sending video to many, many people. Even if you do the authentication and authorization, A's machine may not be that powerful to send video across to hundreds of users, thousands of users. You might want a dedicated server for this, which is particularly good at sending video and also has the right bandwidth requirements. The second thing is that A is broadcasting. So their information is important. Everybody else is just receiving. So we don't need other people to send their information. We just need A to send their information. And then in the live stream, if there is just one source, then you don't want to miss any of the video. It's okay to have some buffering, TCP, right? But it's good to have guaranteed delivery. Otherwise, the video, if it's too choppy, and just imagine your favorite musician, they are playing a song. You're okay losing some video if you have to, but it's not something which is fun. It's not like if there's choppy video, you're going to be like, wow, this is really good. This is a wonderful live stream. So you want that musician's video to go through perfectly. The other people may lose their videos. Maybe out of these 100 people, due to poor internet quality, you can start losing video here. But the rest of the 3 people still get good, video reception.
So you summed it up really well, Gaurav. So firstly, as he is saying that we cannot lose the data, right? Because when it is basically live streaming. So as he suggests that, as we were talking about UDP versus TCP, like WebRTC is over UDP. When you cannot afford to lose the data, when you want reliability, you are basically going to use the underlying layer as TCP. And that is what RTMP does. So that is the major difference between WebRTC and RTMP, right? So RTMP is on top of TCP, and we have essentially solved our point 3 problem, which we were talking about, basically webinars. So when we do webinars, RTMP is a better solution because we cannot lose the data of the person who is the host, basically, versus when it is, say, a general meeting where we need data of everyone and we need more faster communication. In that case, WebRTC is a better option. Does that make sense, Gaurav?
Yeah, that makes sense. This is great. We have actually gone through 2 protocols and the underlying parts also, like the transport layer, UDP or TCP. So this is TCP. And this, okay, there's the RTMP server, and let's get to how maybe the video is finally sent to you. Okay, so when we say RTMP server, what is this server? It accepts RTMP streams, yeah, sure. But in general, we can call them media servers. Whether you send RTMP or you send WebRTC doesn't really matter. But if it is a server, then there is no point doing WebRTC. Doing UDP I can understand, but there's no need to have WebRTC from this client to a media server, because the server is already, it's not that discovery is a problem. It's not that you are going to save something in peer-to-peer. So this is a client server protocol. This is a peer-to-peer protocol. A to B is peer-to-peer. A to a server is client server.
So yeah, in this media server, basically A is the one who is basically sending the video, who is sending the data to the media server, and then it is being received by B, C, D, E, and
Yeah, lots of
basically
people.
it is ACE data. Yeah, it is basically sent to a lot of people, and then there are obviously now it is up to the design that do we want to show the video of BCD or not, but that can also be done, but majorly it will be ACE data that will be sent, correct?
Yes. If this was a YT media server, let's make it Zoom, because we are talking about that. In Zoom, actually, it's not just A which is sending video. All of these guys are. So C could be sending video, and I'll draw that line separately. Let's say C is in green, so A is blue, and C is green. And now you will see that C's video is going everywhere. Okay, it's going to D. So you might have been part of conferences where there are two speakers, and you get to see their video a lot. So it goes to A also, and finally it goes to B. You see that the media server has a lot of connections.
This is basically similar to where we started from, and we wanted to avoid this, but we ended up having the same thing, right? If we are going through media server.
Yeah, no, not much of a choice. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. One input connection per person, so n inputs, and you have n square outputs, which is a lot. I think this will create a scaling issue for us eventually. But for now, this architecture is slightly better than A trying to connect with all 5. So that would be n square, but it would be totally on A's head. This is going to be slightly better. We are looking at large conferences, meetings, video recordings. I think let's just talk about this a little more. If we have to send so many video streams across all these users, how do we send it efficiently? One thing we can do is I think we can compress the videos. We can, if someone has kept their video off, definitely we are not broadcasting it, or we just send a blank over there.
So guys, I don't know how many of you have actually noticed, but compression, Gaurav is saying a very important point. So if you download a Zoom recording and you see, the recording is actually just a few MBs. It is like hardly 150 to 200 MBs for like 1 hour of recording, right? So they actually compress it really well, and the quality is also not bad, because the screen recording that you are actually seeing on the screen is actually Zoom recording, the video recording that you're seeing, not Gaurav and my faces, but the screen is actually a Zoom recording. It is actually pretty good compression that they do.
Yeah, even if you take it like max 300 MB, this is and every time on Interview Ready when I'm uploading, it's like 300. We spoke for 2 hours, 300 MB. Oh, that's too good.
Yeah, so, exactly. Same here.
So I think this is what Zoom does. It has multiple speakers, let's say 5, and they have the small videos on. I think they send just the thumbnail size video. If they know you're not the active speaker, then the media server is not going to send your very high quality video. It's just going to crop and or rather at least it's going to resize your video.
Scale down,
Yeah, and just send that. It's like a tiny thumbnail, and you're happy because you don't need that high quality video. So that would be one trick. People who have kept their video off, that's one trick. I think if they merge all these videos together and send it across as one video, that might also help. So 4 or 5 people's videos, and then on the client side, all you need to do is just translate those videos. You need to cut them and display it in different places. So those might be some optimizations. Apart from that, I can't think of any others. At the end of the day, you have to send the video across. That's what I think. Also, if there's a very large conference of, let's say, 100 people and everybody has their video on, then depending on what you have turned on, if you have turned on the mode where you can see only 5 users, then there's no point sending you 100 people's videos. And even if you have the whole group page open, there's I think 25 you can see together. When you press the right button over there, you see the next 25. So again, Zoom can optimize over there. The size of the videos are small automatically, so that can also help. These might be some of the optimizations that Zoom is making on the client and server side. But this is how they do
That's
their
actually
video
very
markets.
good points, Gaurav.
Right. I think that these could help them. Keerti, you were mentioning about something which is interesting and which is going to make this video possible, which is video recordings. So how do we send video and store it for using later?
One very interesting point over there will be that if we do peer-to-peer connection, right? Because see, recordings come in two modes. So when you record on Zoom, there are basically two options if you have a paid version. One is record on your system, on your computer, and one is record on cloud. So if you have a peer-to-peer connection, recording on computer is straightforward, right? Because that's fine. But when you're recording on cloud and you have a peer-to-peer connection, so how do you record it on cloud? Like, do you still use a media server, or do you have a peer-to-peer connection and then parallelly you're sending it to the media server? Get my point, Gaurav?
Yeah. If you have a media server here also, then you're talking through the media server, which will slow things down.
Correct.
You're going to talk to the media server will forward that to B. Instead, you could have spoken to each other directly. You could have used WebRTC. Okay. I would think that there needs to be some place where you're storing the video. It's not on A, it's not on B. Zoom gives you the option of storing it in local device, but that we can ignore. I would say the media server has to exist. If you're doing any kind of recording, there will be some media server somewhere. So A and B are talking to each other. They are not. Zoom doesn't bother them with the recording. They just say recording in progress, but it's not that the recorded video has to go to anybody or that they have to manage recording. It has to be a paid feature that Zoom takes care of, a media server. It's going to take video from A and it's going to take video from B also.
So interestingly, I don't know if I've noticed this, Gaurav, but it actually happens when we stop the recording of Zoom, right? That it saves it to the cloud. So maybe it is saving it on the client side and then it still needs the internet connection like after the Zoom meeting ends and then send it to the cloud. That is one possible solution. I'm just telling about
it's possible. It definitely. I think it is. Here's the thing. You can send the video in real time to B. So let's say we are party A. We are sending the video to B so that we have this conference. At the same time, in parallel, we are sending it to this media server. That's possible. Or we could send it in batches. So maybe every half minute, we send the video across. That could be useful. And when you stop the recording, Zoom goes like, wait, let me send it at full speed right now because I know you're going to close. So that is another behavior which is possible. So the load on the media server is lesser. Maybe you can buffer stuff up in your own client device and send it. Those are some of the things that I would say are happening. It's probably going to be asynchronous. If you're not able to send the video to the media server, it's not that your conference call will be affected in any way.
Correct. So you will still be connected over a peer-to-peer connection. Your communication will still continue over WebRTC, but asynchronously or maybe after the meeting, like you can basically put it to the cloud. Does that make sense?
Yes. And if you have a group call where the media server is being used anyway, then there's no point not, when you have the video streams from everyone, just record it in the media server itself. So that video file can be stored. Maybe you have a distributed file system. So this is great. If there are very small calls, then we can do a peer-to-peer connection. And for video recording, it's always a media server. And if there are large calls, then we go through the media server anyway. We really have no choice. Depending on whether they have paid us enough, we save their recording also. Okay. I think one concern that we have, Keerti, here is that could be a lot of video to record per day or per month or per year. So we pay Zoom around 1,000 rupees per month, like if you're really lucky, which is 12,000 a year. So
that is just for recording, guys. For increasing the limit and all, there are separate charges. Zoom actually takes a lot of money. A lot of companies actually pay bills in lakhs to Zoom.
No, the enterprise plans are insane. Like we are startups, that's why we can still talk about this. But otherwise, Like I was in Uber and I remember they had a enterprise Zoom plan. I was like, what? Is
Insane.
that the bill? Yeah.
Yeah.
So per person, let's say you get 24,000 rupees per year. Okay. So is it a viable business plan for Zoom? Just to have an idea whether our capacity estimation is making sense. If the cost of storage is higher than this, it won't make any sense. So let's see. Video recordings is what we are talking about. Keerti, could you give us some numbers as to how many people actually use Zoom, and in that way we can start guessing?
So there are 300 million daily active users at Google this,
Okay.
obviously. And
Okay.
I think the rest
300.
estimations we can make, like as we had discussed, like 300 MB for 1 hour of video.
Yeah.
And average
so
call, I
300.
think we can take off, say, 15 or 20 minutes.
300 MB is 1 hour of video, and average call you mentioned is something like 20 minutes. Yeah, yeah. Most calls are like 15 minutes. Just catch up. Is your team doing this? Is that? That's what
Correct.
happens.
Out of these 300 million daily active users, around 50% will turn on their camera, right? So we can,
Yeah.
like only their
50%
video
is
we'll
like a-
have to keep.
Yeah. Camera.
That's also big.
Yeah, there's no way it's 50%, but we are being super generous
Overestimated.
with everybody.
Yeah.
And then we have, I think there's also the fact that not everybody is going to have a subscription. So when it comes to recording, maybe 1% of the people will have a subscription who use Zoom.
Correct.
Okay.
So now there are two things into picture. Like one is basically the storage, which I think will happen only for those 1% of people. But then in general, we can also consider the bandwidth requirement that in general will happen, like even for not paid users, right?
Yes, yes. Bandwidth and storage. These are the two things that we really care about, which are a cause of concern, whether our numbers are making sense. So bandwidth. This is the number of daily active users, which is 300 million, into the storage per user. So total storage or total video divided by I think time in seconds. So this will this will give us an idea of how much bandwidth do we need. Total video is total number of daily active users into how many hours of video they produce. So this will be the storage. Average call length. So let me just note that down. 300 million users are there. Each person has a call length of roughly 20 minutes. So that's 1 by 3 hours, because we have this thing in hour. That many MB, 300 MB, right? And 50% turn on their camera. So let's just assume that half of this, or maybe because we have this clear number, it doesn't matter how many people turn on their camera, it will still take 300 MB. Most likely.
This is 15 petabytes.
This is 15 petabytes. Okay. 100.
So this is
I
worldwide.
think- yeah. No. I think we halved this because of 50%.
Correct, correct.
It won't matter if the camera is on or off. We have 1 hour of video already. The length, the storage requirement here. So this I think we can ignore.
Okay.
Okay. You said 15 petabytes. Maybe it's
30
double of that, right?
petabytes.
30 petabytes.
Yeah.
Okay. 30 petabytes. Petabytes per day.
Bandwidth.
Okay. Oh yes, per day bandwidth. Okay.
But
if we
this
do this
is
per second, how much is that?
this is per day and this is worldwide. So if we do per second, so basically divide by 3624. So
Yeah.
let me see. It is
365. Oh, this is per day, right? 24 into 360. Yeah. How much is that, Keerti? Any idea?
4 Gbps.
4 Gbps. Okay. Yeah. This is fine. I think
This is
worldwide
worldwide.
bandwidth, this much is okay.
Yep.
Okay. We also have storage requirements. This I think, guys, we are happy with. In terms of storage requirements, Keerti, you mentioned 30 petabytes worldwide is how much data is being produced in a day.
Right.
Yeah, but we also have this stuff, right, which is how many people are subscribing to. So into
Correct.
1%. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So this
So
would turn
that
out to be
is 30
300 terabytes.
TB. 300
300
terabytes.
terabytes. Huh?
Yeah.
So we have 300 terabytes. This is a lot.
And
a
this
lot.
is per day. So Zoom
is per
stores
day.
for a few days at least for a month or 2 months like that. So
Okay, let's take that for a year then.
Yep.
365 per year. So
108 petabytes.
108 petabytes.
Yes.
My God. Okay. 108 petabytes. I think the last time I bought, we looked at a hard disk cost on Amazon was 6,000 rupees for 2 petabytes. Okay, Zoom is going to get a
For?
better deal, no doubt, but
Petabyte for
so I mean terabytes.
terabytes.
Sorry.
Terabytes.
2 terabytes, yeah. So you have 108 into 1000 terabytes. This is going to be the cost, and then each one is going to cost you 6,000. I'm sure they'll get a much better deal than this, but if you have to do it this way,
Correct.
how much is this? You put a 0 here, and then you put a 0 here and a 0 here. So we have roughly no, I think I messed up. I'll not be too smart. I'll just try to ask Google for the calculation. This is the cost in rupees. Okay, there's 3 zeros, then there's 2 here, then there's 2 here. This is 64 crores per year.
This is a
Just
drop
storage.
in the ocean. Yeah.
A drop in the ocean? Yeah, I think so, because we are talking about 1% user subscription rate. This is 30 crore people. So if we assume 30 lakh people have purchased a subscription, 30 lakh into 24,000 rupees. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 30 lakh into 24, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's a lot more zeros here. This is in lakhs, this is in crores, 7,200 crores, which is like $1 billion. Yeah. No, this is not even 8 million. But we are laughing because I think this is a very naive estimate, and there must be replication around the globe and stuff like that. But still, it's not storage is not going to kill Zoom, and that makes sense. Okay, we should create a Zoom thing. I think there's a lot of money here. Okay, that takes care of video recordings and our concerns with capacity estimation and bandwidth. I mean storage and bandwidth. So we now have just a couple of things remaining. One is all of this stuff needs to be real time, which we have taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah. And the final thing we had is screen share, or we can even say chat, maybe Zoom chat. For this, guys,
Screen share we already talked about, and
screen share, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Or chat, or there's this thing where you can actually whiteboard. So multiple people can whiteboard. If you're looking for this part, number 5, chat or whiteboard, have a look at our previous video where we talk about group chat, and you'll know how messages are sent across a group. So this, and screen share, we just mentioned, this is part of video recording. It's just another video stream. It's just that your desktop has this video stream instead of this camera. Okay, that takes care of everything actually. Awesome. We went through this design I think quite quickly. If you're looking for any in-depth discussion on Zoom, let us know in the comments. There may be certain things you want to know about the protocol or how exactly something happens. Keerti and I are going to be monitoring the comments, and we love your suggestions, so feel free to share that also. Keerti, any final thoughts before we head to the next video on System Design Charcha?
So we'll be discussing a lot of small specific topics like these, guys, and we would love to discuss some more challenging topics like this. So if you have any suggestions in mind, please do let us know in the comments. If you're enjoying this, please do let us know. That would mean a lot. And subscribe to both the channels.
Smash that subscribe button. Smash the like. Destroy your desktop while you punch in the like button.
As you can see, we are having a lot of fun. We hope you are as well having a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank
see you
you
then, Keerti. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
See you next time.